Feather stitch is one of the most versatile loop stitches. Here it is in a crazy quilt. Here it is in a more organic setting. Here I've used it just in a tidy straight line so that I can add some things to it. This is one of my very favorite stitches, and I've noticed that people find it a little confusing when they are trying to get started on it, and I think I've figured out why that is. So let's look at it just as part of the family of loop stitches. You'll notice that I've marked 4 lines. You don't have to draw the lines every time you're making it, but just so that you can see how the stitch is put together. It's helpful to think of the 4 different lines because the stitch goes back and forth, and you want it to have this kind of a look where the stitches are, I guess you'd call them offset. So in this example, I have come up on the 3rd line. What that's really representing is the fact that I'm going to start by going off to the left. And so here's the first place I'm sinking my thread. You'll notice this is a relative of the fly stitch because they're both loop stitches. So I'm making that little V shape that you get. The thread is coming out, the thread is going under the needle. And I just pull it through. So that's my left side. Now I'm going down to the outside line. So you'll notice the whole trick to this is I'm just alternating going to the, putting my needle down to the outer line every time. Now I have to flip back and go to this side, go to this outer line. And now once you've gotten started, see, I'm coming up underneath that V. Of course, you can get really kind of loose and organic with it. They don't all have to line up directly underneath each other like this. This is just so that you can practice it and get started on it. But you can see how readily this curves. Now, if you wanted to do this left-handed, you can see it's the same stitch. It's really just what hand you're using and what hand you might be using to help control the thread off to the side. But I'm also going to show it the way you sometimes see it illustrated in books for lefties in a minute. So what people find confusing about this, I think, is that most of us are either strongly right-handed or strongly left-handed. Obviously, I don't have that situation going for myself, but if you find it more natural just to hold the thread and hold the needle rather and have it slanting in one direction, your mind is not going to want to slant it in the other direction for some reason. It's just, we get into a habit. But this is a very quick, fluid stitch once you get going with it. So often when you see it illustrated for lefties, you'll see it, now I've got the numbering going right to left. And so you're still coming up on line number 3, but it's just numbered differently. But it's the same principle. First, I'm coming down on the right side. It's me having a hard time in my line there. My needle is coming out over the thread. All you have to do with this stitch is just remember to keep flipping which side you're coming from, and remember to come out over the thread. But also you've got to remember to give yourself enough space to create the graceful look of it. You can see that it really doesn't matter where you start this, whether you're doing it right or left-handed. Once you get into the rhythm of the back and forth, you can go with either hand. in from either side. And here's one where I started on line number 2 and went over to 4. As long as you start somewhere inside here and then go to the outside, either right or left, and just flip back and forth, you're going to be making the stitch correctly, and you're going to be able to create something beautiful that leaves you spaces where you can add other stitches either inside these little V's or to the outside, and you can really just do all kinds of creative things with feather stitch.